Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? So let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. Because when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown. And every time that you call out, you're a little less alone. If you only say the word, from across the silence, your voice is heard. Oh, someone will come running. Oh, oh, even when the dark is crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you
evening. Good evening. Is it on there? Good evening. We're here. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wonder whether today will be a day that we remember in history, on a day that we came out of the Climate Action Summit, on the day when the Universal Health Coverage High-Level Meeting recognized mental health in its political declaration. I'm James Chow. I'm the World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador for Sustainable Development Goals and Health. And like many people in this room, in our wonderful world, struggles with real mental health issues every day. I want to take a quick moment to let everyone know that the conversations throughout this evening will cover very sensitive, possibly triggering topics, including on suicide. And so we encourage you to take care of yourselves, but also to take care of one another. This is our shared space. I also want to let you know that this evening and this event is being live streamed, so we're joined by many friends from around the world who stand with all of us in solidarity. I want to thank first, and please join me in thanking again, the wonderful cast of the Tony and Grammy Award-winning musical, Dear Evan Hansen. You are phenomenal, and to my enduring shame, I will regret on my last trip to New York picking to go to the Carole King musical opposite yours. But my lesson is learned. If you don't already know, the show is his classic coming-of-age story about how now more than ever, it's easy to feel lonely in this age of hyperconnectivity that, of course, social media and everything else brings with it. And through the show's success, it's very sensitive and thoughtful treatment of very real issues. And the cast and creative teams work with several mental health and suicide prevention nonprofits. Dear Evan Hansen has helped normalize a conversation around mental health, and we're so thrilled that you took time out to be with us here this evening especially. We're all here because we share this beautiful commitment and belief that mental health is a basic human right, and that every person, no matter where you are, deserves access to quality care. That's what UHC is all about. Mental health is a fundamental part of us being human. Over the course of a life, 1 in 4 people around the world will have a clinically significant mental disorder. And even though we all say that we know it, or inside of ourselves, more of us can say that we experience it, we now have that undeniable evidence that good mental health care creates a more equitable, resilient, and economically prosperous world for us all. Mental health has been absent from most national health agendas for too long, but we're about to put that right today. This makes mental health one of the least talked about yet biggest barriers to economic societal gain and to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, we all heard about this wonderful political declaration today, and organizations like our host, United this evening, are wasting absolutely no time in holding their leaders to account. And through their work and their new campaign, Speak Your Mind, which you'll hear more about later on, they're ensuring that leaders everywhere, because we're people everywhere, know that the time is now to invest, to educate, and to empower for mental health for all. So, we need leaders from the top, and we've got leaders from the top for you this evening, starting off with the President of the United Nations General Assembly. Earlier this year, we all knew that the UN General Assembly elected Tijani Mohamed Bande, the then permanent representative of Nigeria, as President of the 74th session. Mr. Bande, we all know how important it is that you are here with us this evening in the busiest of weeks, and we welcome you now to our stage.
I think we need to democratize the mic a bit. Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, such a great evening to discuss a really important subject. I'm honored to have been invited to be part of this very important conversation, to join leaders and activists, including activist leaders, to push a very important agenda. Reference has been made today to two really important things. One, the discussion on climate action. The climate summit is really important. Two, universal health coverage. That they happened in one day must mean something significant is happening to our world. People are coming together to deal with really important things and leaving unimportant things where they belong. Mental health is a subset of health. And today, the idea is no longer a debatable one. Without health, nothing happens. And reference has been made repeatedly today to the connections between health and economic growth, peace, and even mental health. Now, there is no question that even with the way in which health systems are crumbling in certain parts of the world, in certain societies, efforts have been made by civil society organizations and others to see that this does not continue to be so. The United Nations has done greatly in joining with others to make this a very important matter. In short, we can do nothing without health. And we are worried that even in countries even where health systems are certainly good and better than the average, mental health is a challenge. It's a taboo to talk about it. We know it every day. It affects, from the record, from the information, up to 25% of individuals suffer from it to various degrees. But we seek to ignore it because it is made a taboo. This is really important that today we have, in practical terms, emphasized it is a right which has to be fought for and defended for all of us. And going forward, I just want to say the Assembly will join all efforts of all organizations and will work with whatever organizations are available to work with to guarantee not only health in general, but in particular to join in the fight to improve mental health for all. Health for all, mental health for all. I thank you greatly, and I would be nowhere else but to discuss this. I'm glad to have been invited to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the President of the General Assembly. Well, we have a whole host of new friends to introduce you to this evening. Our next speaker is Zach Williams, who is the CEO and the co-founder of PYM Health. And we asked him what brought about his work, his important work in mental health. One was that commitment to giving back, to returning. And the other part of it was the story inspired by his own life and by his father, the Academy Award nominee, Robin Williams. Zach is also the lead of his own entertainment company, Hypothesis, and he's been making a short film called Silent Manifesto, which again seeks to break that silence around mental health that remains very entrenched in all parts of our world. Here's a quick look at that.
It's time to end the silence and demand change. We are gathering a petition made up of our very own voices, and every voice signing it will be part of a speech to global leaders. Speak your mind. Thank you for having me here this evening. I've had worry and anxiety as long as I can remember. As a boy, I was constantly seeking to please other people, and I never really felt comfortable in my own skin. That feeling only grew over time. Born and brought up in a privileged environment in San Francisco, I had access to resources and treatment that I needed when I was down and out. Throughout my childhood and adolescence, I took that access for granted. As a child of divorce, I was asked by my parents to go to therapy early in life, something that I did not appreciate. I didn't want to share my feelings or thoughts, and I didn't feel the sessions were important, especially to my well-being. In retrospect, those sessions and that time spent helped me get to where I am today, alive and present and able to speak with you about the importance of mental health support. It's only recently that I've come to acknowledge that these resources I had the privilege of experiencing are rarely available to most people, if at all. What I've come to understand throughout my life dealing with severe anxiety and depressive episodes is that my experience was not unique, however much I wanted to believe it was at the time. It was an experience that billions of people shared with me. And what I've come to learn is that connecting with others, sharing my story, and seeking to be vulnerable is what ultimately keeps me accountable and grateful, helping me rebound from the times when I am feeling scared and isolated. When my father died by suicide, I was left to face my own personal demons with more weight than ever before. To be honest, I did not take the time needed to become open and vulnerable because I felt that my personal well-being was not as important as those of the ones around me who I felt were suffering. Perhaps I avoided my own reality in that thinking as well. In hindsight, I regret not taking the time to treat myself with the self-care and respect I needed to get and remain well. It is only now, at this time, I found support and community through prioritizing loving myself. It's how I manage to keep my cup full so I can share it lovingly with others. And while I've been moved by the outpouring of affection in response to ending the silence and sharing my story, the priority of the moment is for us to turn to action. It's time to ensure that everyone, everywhere, has someone to turn to and that mental health is recognized, valued, and treated on equal footing with physical health. To make this a reality, we need to continue listening to people with lived experience of mental health to help shape the future of mental health support. We need governments to prioritize educating their populations on mental health, invest in resources for prevention, care, and treatment, and empower those with lived experience in order to achieve mental health for all. Education, investment, and empowerment to achieve mental health for all is needed on a global scale. As I began to share my story and speak with other mental health advocates, I quickly realized the global scale of the mental health crisis and the great disparities between countries and regions. Countries with the highest burden of mental illness often make up the world's poorest nations. Over 80% of people with mental health conditions live in low and middle-income countries. Around the world, no one is immune to mental health issues. But if one lives in a low-resource or emergency setting, he or she is even less likely to receive the care and treatment needed. In low-income countries, over 75% of people with mental disorders receive no treatment at all. Zero. As a new father, I can't help but look at the future of global mental health through the eyes of my son. The actions we take today will determine the mental health of tomorrow's generation. When young people are given the best possible start to life with mental health support and services, lives are saved. esteem is nurtured, and whole societies reap the benefits. Yet, as it stands, our health systems and government structures are not equipped to treat the current mental health crisis and provide support for this and future generations' young people. One of the reasons why I'm excited to support Speak Your Mind is because young people, the future of our world, are spearheading the campaign and sitting down with their leaders, from Lagos to Auckland to Jakarta. It's time for a mental health revolution. We need leaders to take this issue seriously and be accountable to changing the status quo. I'm proud to be part of Speak Your Mind, which is doing just that and holding leaders everywhere to account. By ending the silence, speaking our mind, and fighting for action, a world where everyone has access to affordable mental health support can be our world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. I would now like to introduce everybody to a friend of the community, Her Majesty the Queen of the Belgians, who, as we all know, holds a number of very important roles in her own country, but equally internationally through her capacity as a UN SDG advocate, a role that she was appointed to by the United Nations Secretary General 3 years ago. Her Majesty was trained as a psychologist, and she has also worked as a speech therapist and has a very special interest in the work and in the lives that she involves herself with. And I think all of us who were at the World Health Assembly in May, at that transformative session that you led, saw for ourselves how special not only your words are, but the commitment that you have personally laid out for everybody in the world to live by. Please welcome Her Majesty the Queen.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, mental health has been one of my top priorities as an SDG advocate. I've often said that stigmatization of people with mental disorders is a major obstacle for their access to treatment. We really need to put an end to this stigma and to educate everyone better about mental health. But obstacles also remain for those who seek treatment because of a lack of appropriate medical and social facilities, especially in developing countries. People living in poverty who are affected by mental health issues are twice as vulnerable. Universal health coverage should include access to proper care for mental health problems. We need to invest in innovative ways to deal with mental health conditions. We need to share the results of successful experiments widely, and this should be done in language that is accessible for everyone. We need to listen more carefully to the people who have been directly affected and their families and carers. Finally, we need to remember that mental health issues have many causes. We need to learn more about prevention, and we should also study whether a more holistic approach could contribute to reducing the incidence of mental health disorders, at least partially. I thank you.
I want to move our commentary and narrative today from a global leader's perspective to the grassroots level to further explore why we say that the time is now to demand good mental health for all. Some of the people creating that demand are here this evening, and we're going to meet two incredible mental health advocates and Speak Your Mind campaigners, Jazz Thornton, who is the founder of Voices of Hope in New Zealand, a mental health organization that creates content promoting mental health well-being, empowerment, and also recovery. And also Victor Ugo, who is the founder of the Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative, a community of young people working to support one another and to fight for mental health support in Nigeria. But first, shown here for the very first time in public is a short clip from Jazz's upcoming feature-length film, which will come to theaters in 2020, The Girl on the Bridge. We want to give you a chance to see it first, to provide a sense of what the everyday work of those focused on suicide prevention really looks like. And I want to know that some of this may be difficult to watch, but this is the reality that many people face every single day.
In the last 8 days, I have been at the hospital 5 times with people who have tried to take their lives. I have received 6 goodbye messages from people. I have literally had to restrain someone who was trying to take their life. I have been on the phone to someone else who was about to take their life. It has been one heck of a week.
Do you have the suicide note on you? If you go to sleep, you might not wake up.
I've been fighting for the last week to try and get her admitted into hospital.
The crisis team go, we're really sorry, there's nothing we can do until she's tried to kill herself.
And so tomorrow, I'm gonna give it one last shot.
I know that I'm strong enough to be able to do this without it tipping me.
There is a voice that's fearful about talking about suicide. No one knows what to do to help.
Our generation is sitting here like, we're the ones that are dying, and therefore we have to be the ones that will stand up and solve it because no one else is going to.
Wow. That was such a powerful film. And I know from our conversations in the past few days, this is just a short clip from what I know has been a long journey for you. I'm sure everyone here is very, very interested in hearing your story. Jazz, can you tell us a bit more about your story, please?
Yeah, definitely. That's very much kind of a very small snapshot of the last couple of years of my life. I'm a mental health advocate, and I do what I do because I was very nearly a part of the statistics. I suffered a lot of childhood trauma, and when I was 12 years old, I made the decision to try and end my own life, and that kind of rippled out throughout my teenage years to some very, very severe mental health issues. And I remember at that time feeling like I was the only one going through it, that no one else was feeling like this. And so as I was sitting in the psychiatric unit of this hospital, I had a conversation that quite literally changed everything. And it was a conversation where I learned where I had thought that I had been fighting for the last 9 years of my life, but I had really just been surviving, and I had to learn how to fight if I wanted to see change, and I did that, and then I managed to completely come out the other side and decided that I wanted to be able to create something that I needed when I was going through that time, create something that my 12-year-old self needed when she was going through that. And I know, Victor, for you, you've had your own mental health struggles as well, and your experiences in Nigeria. Can you tell us a bit about that?
You know, there's something about the age of 12, because when I was 12, that was when I wrote my first suicide note. And between the age of 12 and 23, I attempted suicide twice. And just the fact that I survived that and got diagnosed with depression at 23, between 12 and 23, I had attempted suicide twice without a diagnosis. And then I got the diagnosis for depression at 23. The fact that I survived alone is just how important having that community support you speak of is. And that's how they taught me how to fight for myself, just like you said. In a country like Nigeria, where stigma is rife and mental health is in denial, really, and is spiritualized, it is such a big deal to have a community that you can speak to. And that's why we started the organization Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative, which just has this community of young persons with lived experience of mental health issues who come together and talk to each other and just communicate with each other, and also demand better from the government. We're still a long way off. We haven't gotten there yet. But with the help of the Speak Your Mind campaign, we have had some changes in regards to policy. And we have campaigned for the ban of a pesticide that was implicated in suicides recently called Sniper, and it was banned. But we're not stopping there, because that's not the only thing that results in suicides. We are now getting involved in the conversation for a new mental health bill and talking about policies and plans, which is just amazing, really. I know that your lived experience fuels your work, and I know that you have been recently appointed as a lived experience advisor for the New Zealand government. Can you tell us a bit more about your work?
Yeah, some of you may have heard in this room that New Zealand this year had the very first ever wellbeing budget. We saw $1.9 billion invested into mental health, right? It's absolutely incredible. I feel like for the very first time in my life that the 12-year-old girl that tried to take her life is being told that she's worth fighting for. And so I'm so excited to be a part of that. And what I realized, I was in Indonesia recently with the Speak Your Mind team, and there was 5 different countries there, and as I was talking, I discovered that mental health is not only a national issue, but it's a global issue, and it must be addressed globally. And the global story of mental health, it has to be told, and we need to band together to work for solutions, because together we are stronger. And our voices and many others are being heard today because of campaigns like Speak Your Mind. And like I said, my younger self, my teenage self, is so incredibly thankful for every country who is representing in this, every person who has showed up today, because I don't know if you know this, but in this campaign there is 15 countries across 6 continents that have come together, which is incredible.
Amazing.
And the entire point of it is to catalyze government action on mental health to improve the accessibility and quality of mental health services, both nationally and globally. This campaign, it's soft launched at the World Health Assembly in May. It's the official launch right here tonight and will continue until the end of 2021.
Amazing. So Jazz and I have been campaigning nationally and pushing for governments to do better, for our governments to do better. But we're definitely not in this. It is a global fight for us, because we have other countries that are involved in it. For example, ahead of the World Mental Health Day, we're actually creating what is a global movement to put pressure on governments across the world to take mental health seriously. This is statistics that really comes to mind every time we talk about suicide, and it's that every 40 seconds, someone somewhere takes their life. And there's something very personal about this for us, because Jazz and I could have been one of them. So we could have been one of the statistics that would have been counted in this, and which is a very strong story to go with. This needs to change, and that's why we're at the UN today, to demand for government to take action on mental health. Now, the numbers are important, and that's why today the Speak Your Mind campaigners are transforming the 40 seconds into something positive. We are calling on everyone in this room today to join us to add their voice by taking 40 seconds to explain why it's time for our leaders to act on mental health. Now, if you're in the government here today, we are going to be coming to you. We're going to be demanding for action from you. I'm looking at you, all of you. So we're going to be coming to you very soon. And you're going to have campaigners from across the world in 15 countries coming to tell you that you need to act on mental health and you need to take it seriously. And although we're just launching this today, there are already amazing voices that have already offered their support for the campaign. I think we have a video for that.
Oh, I can see it playing on the fallback button on the screen. Do you have the video, team? There it is.
Hi, Yami Dakar.
I'm speaking my mind.
From the UK, for the UK.
For India.
For Nigeria.
For Colombia.
For Pakistan.
In Australia.
Indonesia.
For Belgium.
And New Zealand. US.
In Hong Kong.
On behalf of the Broadway cast of Dear Evan Hansen.
For the World YMCA.
You know, I'm sure by now that every 40 seconds someone takes their own life.
Mental health and psychosocial needs of people in our families, communities, and at work are not being met.
I'm calling on my leaders and all the leaders around the world
to act
on mental health
for all.
To improve mental health and well-being globally.
Why is it so important to me?
Acting on mental health is simply an expression of our shared humanity.
Half of mental illnesses begin before the age of 14.
They are sometimes invisible, but they are real, and they are life-threatening.
It's about saving the promise, the potential,
that each of us holds.
I hope for everyone, no matter where they live, no matter who they are, no matter what age they are, is that they can feel able to talk freely and openly when they need help and support, and that whoever they turn to has the skills, has the knowledge to be able to help and support them.
It's a crisis, a real crisis, but it is one where hope can be seen at the end of the line.
Here's a chance for you to make a difference.
Help us call on other leaders to take action.
Please visit GoSpeakYourMind.org
and sign the voice petition.
Speak your mind!
Speak your mind!
Speak your mind! Speak your mind!
Speak your mind!
If I speak my mind, will you listen?
I don't know about you, but it's pretty incredible to see so many voices across the world being heard on this campaign already. It's super exciting. And I want to quickly take this opportunity to invite our friends from Tonga, India, Sierra Leone, and Kenya, who are all in the room, to quickly come up here. What we're doing with Speak Your Mind is that there is a symbol that we're all doing to unite our voices. I have a microphone in my hand, so Leo, come up here. Leo is going to show you what it is that we are encouraging everyone to do. Show us, Leo. This is Leo from Tonga. What are we doing for Speak Your Mind? With your hands. So this is what we want every person to do with when it comes to social media, when it comes to posting about this campaign. This is our international symbol for Speak Your Mind. Thank you so much, Leo. There are some incredible people. Hey guys! In this room. These guys are amazing. We've got India, Sierra Leone, and Kenya. You know, this campaign is more than just us. This campaign is all about the fact that leaders have to take action. And there's actually an incredible organization, Havas, who have created a moving logo. And the more people that sign this petition, the logo is going to start moving. Our goal is to get 1 million signatures on this, 1 million people to share their voices. And I wholeheartedly believe that we can do that. Every person in this room, if Speak Your Mind has your email address, then you're going to have an email at the end of this about how you can add your voice, as well as also mobilizing your community on how to get into this campaign between World Mental Health Day and now in World Mental Health Day, which is on October 10th. Now, I want to introduce someone very, very exciting to you, Carlos Sanvi, who is the Secretary General of the World YMCA. Carlos, are you in the room? Yeah, there he is. Carlos, come on up. Carlos, right here, right now, is going to be making his commitment in his 40 seconds. So, Carlos, the floor is yours.
Her Majesty and Excellencies, dear friends, the World YMCA is so proud to partner and support those incredible activists and campaigners around the world. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. Speak Your Mind have given those fighting for mental health at a national level to have a voice on this global stage so that you and us global leaders can hear their demands. As Secretary General of the World YMCA, we are committed to bring together more than 40 million young people around the world of our network to join and to participate to this 40-second action for mental health. And I want to invite you all, leaders, to bring your constituency to support this noble mission. By joining our efforts, by connecting our resources, we'll be able to amplify the voice of people who struggle, who are making this campaign a reality. Let's join our force and let's make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be in this room tonight, and what I really want you to take away from this is that we can sit here and we can talk about making change, we can dream about it, but the reality is that nothing's going to change unless we actually go out and we create it and we become the change that we want to see. And so I wholeheartedly hope that every single person in this room gets behind this campaign, go out there and speak your mind. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Jazz. And we are now going to pause a bit, because I heard Victor say that we're going to go out there to look for the leaders. The wonderful thing is that the leaders have come here themselves. Most notably, amongst many others, Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, who a number of years ago was the key architect, and at least one of the key architects of the Sustainable Development Goals, providing us with this very broad framework for everyone to work to 2030 and making sure that mental health was embedded right there at the forefront of SDG number 3, health and well-being. And that reminded me that there is no health unless you have good mental health as well. Please join me in welcoming the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations.
Does this work? Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I was looking for the person that just introduced me. I had a wonderful speech, and I apologize to my team. But after the last lot stood up here and said what they were saying, I thought the speech is not going to work. So very formal. But, you know, this is an enormous opportunity for we at the UN to really see what it has meant to have a health goal that is including mental health, that we are including the voices, and that we are hearing them loud and strong in this room, but beyond this room, at the grassroots. The challenge we really have is that as I listened to the UHC today, Your Majesty, you were there, and I know you care deeply about mental health. Minister after minister spoke, and my team just told me that we didn't get up to 5 people who put mental health in their speeches. So governments believe in universal health coverage. They haven't yet got to the mental health piece. And I think that this is something that we have to really fight for through our parliaments, through our governments. If ministers of health can come to a meeting and not understand the centrality of mental health in their programs, then we have a really big problem. That's not about presidents, that's the mental health. And I think we have to be very loud about it. Over the last 3 days, we were very loud about picking a fight with nature, and it fought back, and now we have to make peace, and that's climate action. So the same with mental health. As they say, you know, we've got to go the full mile, not halfway, not 3/4, to get it in. It's a really tough journey to go into remember what we did with HIV and AIDS. The stigma around mental health is huge. I was coming up the stage and thinking, where do I dig deep here? And wondering whether, in fact, I should say, well, you know, as we stretch our hands, each and every one of us touches someone who knows someone who has been affected or is affected by mental health. And would I say that about myself? Now, I probably go down, don't tweet me, because my country would find that not very funny in many of our cultures, because they'd say, you know, why did you say it? Yes, I have mental health in my family, and we learn to deal with it, and we help them. But you know, no one else did. At that time, it was something everyone kept under cover. So we need to take the cover off. It is okay not to be well, because there is and should be someone out there to help you get better. So the shame, the stigma, the silence has to start with each and every one of us individually and collectively. We have to feel that in our hearts and our minds if we're really going to be brave enough to walk into an office and you're not going to ask about the case for measles or making a case for HIV and AIDS or making a case for maternal health, but mental health. It's not at the top of anyone's agenda, and it should be, because it is affecting millions and millions and millions of people. Perhaps the saddest thing that we ought to let people know is it doesn't have a face. That many who go around smiling, everybody remembers the last smile and how jolly somebody was, and then suddenly they were no more. And those are the ones who sadly succeeded. But we don't know the ones that didn't. Many of them are often not in our conversations. Again, it's hidden. And I think that this is what we have to do, to bring it out, to make it a normal part of our ask, that there is a health agenda, and well-being is essential, and mental health is a major issue, and we need to deal with it because we can get to zero on the lack of attention that we have with mental health. So let me say for the UN, and I know Dr. Tedros is going to come up the stage shortly, and our commitment is that we're repositioning the UN to be more effective at the country level. And that means opening up those spaces, convening and leveraging whatever we can to bring together our grassroots mobilization of civil society, of the medical profession, of anyone and everyone who is affected by this and who really means to make a change in the world. Our commitment to you is that we will do this day in, day out, not just in the field, but as we've done in the UN, start from the inside out with our own people, understanding that UN staff also suffer from mental health. And that acknowledgement here has made us understand better why we should have so much more empathy, but much more action and advocacy, and just calling it out and getting it sorted. So thank you very much for giving me the stage for a couple of minutes, and good luck.
And as the DSG said, this is where we get to meet Dr. Tedros, the Director General of the World Health Organization, who in the couple of years, in the short years since he has assumed this post, has continued to put mental health at the front and center, not only of the work for the 7 billion people around the world, but for the people who work at the organization itself as well. I was in Geneva last week. I was in the elevator, and I saw mental health posters up for an event, an internal event. He has a wonderful director of mental health here also with us. So it's something that Dr. Tedros talks was really about walk the talk. I always thought walk the talk was simply about walking up staircases and getting physical exercise, but I missed most of the point. While it was important, that particular aspect, it was also about walking the talk in every facet of good health and well-being. Dr. Tedros has been 11 times to the Democratic Republic of the Congo since the latest outbreak began. He's there almost on a monthly basis on average, sleeping in tents over there. But he told me the other day it wasn't just about that. It was about this halo of violence and conflict and war that encompasses the everyday reality of his health workers over there. So I think in that in itself captures a lot of the mental health issues that we're talking about here. Please welcome our dear friend, Dr. Tedros.
Thank you, James. Sorry, my sound, my voice. It's because of talking too much, but I will keep talking. First of all, I would like to thank James for his kind introduction, and also I would like to thank DSG because I had a speech also, but she had abandoned it. So I will be forced to abandon it too. I will start from, you know them, Tony Borden and Kate Spade. They committed suicide same week. You remember them? And especially Tony Borden because he was a CNN chef. Very well known, very famous, well loved. He had everything. But suddenly he's dead. He committed suicide. And people wonder why people from outside who have everything commit suicide. You know, the superficial, what you see from the outside is not everything. It doesn't mean that you have everything. It's only the visible or something visible that you have. Otherwise, there could be something missing inside, something you miss. That's why you were losing Tony and also Kate. And then, what I remember is that week, I tweeted immediately how tragic it was and how saddened I was by the deaths of these two very precious people, Kate and Tony. And some People say to me, Tedros, these are very well-known people. Why are you talking about them and tweeting and, is their death so bigger than others who are dying every day because of many other illnesses? Then I said, no. Each and every life is equal. It's the same. I'm not saying their life is better, but their death, two people very well known in a week, shows you the statistics. We're saying one person dies because of suicide every 40 seconds. So we know Kate, we know Tony, but there are many more who are dying that we don't know. So I just wanted to show that. If these two popular people die in a week, it means we're losing much more. So I say that's my message. We're losing people every 40 seconds. It's very, very tragic. And that was the message I wanted to pass. And I fully agree with Amina that mental health is one of the areas with least attention. And all those we're losing everywhere is a wake-up call. Suicide is a silent killer. You see people there well, but it's the invisible, they're not well. We don't even understand them when they're in pain. We only say from outside, like Tony and Kate, when we see they have something, probably me, the Director General, we think that we have everything. That's wrong. We have to watch each other. And that's why, by the way, the 40 seconds initiative, a reminder for all of us to do something. It doesn't take more than 40 seconds, just 40 seconds. We're asking just for 40 seconds. Then I will tell you something linked with 40 seconds. When I was launching, on Mental Health Day, it's with Talinda Bennington. You know her. And this is the widow of Chester Bennington. And you can see how tragic the situation is. Again, it's not because Chester Bennington is famous, but it can show you the statistics. But I will tell you what impressed me then. Of course, we launched it with the program with Talinda Bennington. It was good. And then I came across something that touched me. I was watching an interview of their son called Tyler, an incredible boy, 13 years old. And he was talking about his father, his late father, and he was talking about how people are being affected by suicide. And he said the solution is, please anyone, please talk to those you think can help you. The solution is talk to each other. Talk to people. The friendship bench. Our Zimbabwean friend, I don't know where he is now. Talk to each other. Even Tyler, the young boy, knows the solution. But we don't do it. And I say to Tyler, I'm your friend now. You have a friend called Tedros, is a lot older than you, could be your father or your grandfather. But I said to Tyler, I'm your friend. Now we're friends, by the way. We talk each other. He sends me a video. That's it. Talk to each other, the solution. Then you surprised me tonight. I was so surprised to see someone coming from Tonga. I have been to Tonga a month ago. I visited Tonga. And I met a professor called Professor Mapa. I visited his hospital, his mental health department. He's doing amazing things. He told me that his suicide rate in patients he's following is actually declining. The only thing he does is he has a kava ceremony and he talks to them. He helps them to open up. He helps them to tell him what they're hiding. Then he helps them to get out of the depression, to reverse, to change course, to save their lives. Maybe, I don't know if anyone here, maybe the friend from Tonga knows Professor Mapa. You know him? Exactly. It's just simple things he's doing. Talk to each other and let's understand people. Let's not see the superficial. Let's see the patterns, the trends. Let's understand them. Understanding is internal. It's not external. Let's see the soul. That's it. That's what Professor Mapa is doing. Then I will tell you another story. A professor and his chancellor from UCLA came to Geneva to talk to me. And they told me that they have developed an application and trying it in their campus. And they have seen a declining trend in suicide rates after they have introduced that application and followed their students. And they want to do it everywhere. Has two components. One, application can help you see the trend, how they're actually behaving. Then, based on the trend, talk to them. Conversation. So the solution is also at hand. But the solution is not really difficult. Number one is let's commit to mental health. It's enough. Not only the individuals, because of conflict, we're having mass trauma. Every conflict on earth. We don't see those. Many people are being affected. Mass trauma. And then the individuals, even in stable countries. But the stable countries are better than the conflict countries. Commitment to everybody, including the refugees who have a siege mentality and mass trauma. Not just like the stable individual cases. Mass casualties. Mental health problem is everywhere. It's big. So the political commitment it needs is also big. So I'm just putting and underlining the problem is serious. It's so big. And we need to have something, or we need to have action that's proportionate to it. Proportional to the problem. Of course, we're doing our best now. We're starting. It's better late than never. But the job is really enormous. So let's give it our best. And finally, I would like to thank my goodwill ambassador, the goodwill ambassador of the World Health Organization, Cynthia, for her commitment and leadership. Then I will and then I will tell you a secret I have with her, me and her. One day, I had an appointment with her and Lady Gaga. And then Lady Gaga was not there, and I met Cynthia. Then Cynthia was a bit nervous and say, "Oh, sorry, we were supposed to meet you together, but I'm alone. She may come, but she's busy," and so on. Then I said, "Don't worry, I have the original. Why would I care about the copy?" So, I'm glad that we have the original, the ambassador, and thank you for your commitment. But I know behind the original, the copy is also helping. and helping from here. So thank you so much to the original and to the copy who are doing this from the heart. Thank you so much. Sorry, I had only a few minutes. I took longer. But Amina started it. I wanted to speak from my heart. Mental health is serious. And let's work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to dear Dr. Tedros. Well, I think as we've all seen from this wonderful evening, it takes all of us together to move that front forward and to expand it. And I'm going to introduce you now to Rajvi Marawala, who is going to moderate a special section with some special guests also with us this evening. Rajvi is the head of the Marawala Health Initiative and also a Speak Your Mind campaigner.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask our panelists to come up on stage. Anywhere you like. I'm going to start off by saying that I am absolutely chuffed to be up here on stage. I think it's quite a reversal of power when a campaigner and a mental health activist gets to put ministers in the hot seat. So lots of fun for me. Looking forward to hearing some important signaling from the stage from all three of you today. So in the interest of time, because we want some more time from all these wonderful people tonight, because we want everyone to sign up for Speak Your Mind and spread the word, I'm going to ask all of you questions and request that you keep the answers short, about 1 minute, if that's all right. 40 seconds or 1 minute, yes? So my first question is to the Honorable Bent Høie, Minister of Health and Care Services, Norway. The Norwegian government has taken great strides in delivering mental health for all in Norway. First, what lessons have you learned in achieving this that can be shared with other countries that you help? And the second, importantly, what is your commitment to making mental health for all a reality, not just at home, but also abroad?
Thank you very much. I think what we have to do is start with the basic, and the basic is that we all have mental health. It's not the issue that some people have mental health problems and then you have all other people. We all have mental health. And during our lifetime, the most of us will have mental health issues, problems, at the same way as most of us during our lifetime also will physical health problem. Often they go over by themselves. Often we find solutions together with friends and family, but sometimes we need help from professionals. So that is the starting point. We all have a mental health. And then, because the solution is not, the main solution is not pills, the main solution is not individual treatment, the main solution is thinking about mental health in a public health way. And therefore we need to create a mental health friendly society. So we start in school by training the youngster in taking care of their mental health. So that is the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much. You said the magic words. Mental health is in parity to physical health. Thank you so much. Similarly, Eve, I'd like to ask you, what's your commitment to making mental health for all a reality? And what kind of responsibility does the International Committee of the Red Cross take in this regard?
I do represent tonight, in fact, people who are working
as volunteers or as professionals dealing with humanitarian issues. And I think the things which is changing for us is we need to understand that mental health is about life-saving. And that's new, because for a long time we thought, first of all, that we need to help people who have a physical issues. You go for it, and then maybe mental health is something that you will deal afterwards. What is totally new is we need to think about mental health as part of the health continuum, but it is about life-saving. If there is one thing I want the people to keep tonight, it is about life-saving.
Thank you so much. Very important. Thank you for saying that. Okay. Finally, Honorable Kitty von der Heyden, Director General, International Cooperative Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Holland. The Dutch government has also focused on mental health of those living in crisis areas. How has the government taken action in this regard? And what is your commitment to making mental health for all a reality, especially following today's achievement of mental health in universal health coverage political declaration?
Look, I think mental health is a problem everywhere for people when they suffer, but it's more so a problem when you are living in a war zone, when you are a child that has seen, witnessed, or felt incredible horror, when you are a woman and you are raped as an instrument of war, when you have suffered sexual assault. It is inexcusable. And we can rebuild countries and we can rebuild bomb bridges, but we need your help, our help collectively to rebuild broken souls. We cannot have stable societies, a common future. We cannot have a society where we leave no one behind if we do not include mental health. It's a human right. It's something of human dignity. And just to add to that, I am passionate about it because I've worked in war zones like Eve, and we'll be hosting a high-level ministerial conference in October in the Netherlands. And we're going to ask all governments, all organizations that come, to come with a commitment. Yes, we need to do it, but you need to stop talking and walk the talk or get off the podium, including me.
Thank you so very much. It has been absolutely brilliant to get and hear this commitment and signal to mental health being important and an inalienable human right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you for all of our special guests and for those commitments. My name's Alicia London. I'm the founder and CEO of United for Global Mental Health. I have the privilege now of introducing our speaker with final remarks before a few final thank yous. I know we're over time, and I apologize for that. There has been so much to say, and I want to thank you for your attention. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you now Cynthia Germanotta. She is the WHO Goodwill Ambassador for Mental Health. She is president and co-founder of the Born This Way Foundation. She is an ambassador for Speak Your Mind and helped us launch the campaign at the World Health Assembly in May and here, and she is a passionate advocate for young people and their mental health. Cynthia, would you come and join us?
Good evening. And Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and for being so passionate about mental health. As both president and co-founder of Born This Way Foundation and a proud WHO ambassador, and also as a mom with lived experience, it's really my pleasure to be here with you tonight to celebrate people with lived experiences, especially young people. We've heard from Jazz earlier, we've heard from Zach, we have heard from Victor. Our young people are at the forefront of this issue, and we have the opportunity to help them. They have used their voices loud and clear, and we need to place more emphasis on mental health in our homes, in our communities, and in the public sector. I am here from Born This Way Foundation because my daughter, who suffers from mental illness since middle school, her name is Stephanie, many of you may know her as Lady Gaga. She was brave enough to tell her own story. And I know that Tedros refers to her as the copy, but I refer to her as the blueprint for all young people around the world, because she had a very similar experience and envisions a world where young people are better equipped to deal with their struggles than she was. My hope is that we can continue to bring all the voices across society, across business, across cultures, to bring everyone here to use your voice and speak your mind, and call on the mental health systems to support everyone, everywhere. There is no health without mental health. When it comes to mental health, every country, I believe, is a developing country. And now I'm going to turn it back to you, Alicia. I have the pleasure of introducing Alicia London, who was here a moment ago, who is founder and acting CEO of United for Global Mental Health. Alicia embodies the statement that nothing for us without us. In 2013, she suffered a trauma and was diagnosed with PTSD and depression. Following her recovery, she was appointed as campaign director for the Heads Together campaign run by the Royal Foundation and spearheaded by their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Harry. From there, she identified the gap and the need for increased global action on mental health, and so launched United for Global Mental Health with the support of Born This Way Foundation, as well as Pivotal Ventures and a broad range of campaigners, UN agencies, and organizations. Please help me to welcome Alicia London.
Okay. I know it's late. I know there are drinks and food awaiting you, so I will keep this brief. By joining us here tonight, you are all playing a crucial role in making change happen. And I know now more than ever that we are stronger when we're together. There are too many people to thank individually in this room and around the world, but please would you allow me a moment to say thank you to a small number of people who we wouldn't be here without. Firstly, I wanted to start with everyone here and watching and around the world with lived experience of mental health conditions who are speaking out. I personally know how hard this is, and I firmly believe that your voices are creating change now like never before. To those who backed our vision at United for Global Mental Health to deliver our work on policy, advocacy, financing, and campaigning, a couple of really critical people. To the Getch Foundation, thank you. We literally wouldn't be here without you. To our major partners, Pivotal Ventures in the room here today, the Wellcome Trust, Born This Way Foundation, the incredible team that we have at United. If you've seen them, they work so hard. Here today, thank you to all of you, especially to our co-founders, my co-founders Sarah Klein and Xander Wilkham. And a special thank you to the team at Global Health Strategies, who are very much part of the team. There's so many. United for Global Mental Health is proud to power the Speak Your Mind campaign. But what's really important and what I want to communicate tonight is this is a campaign that is nationally driven and globally united. So when we come to the Speak Your Mind campaign, the first people I want to thank specifically are the campaigners leading these campaigns in their countries around the world. So far, 15 countries: Argentina, Australia, Ghana, India, Indonesia, Kenya, Liberia, Nepal, New Zealand, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Tonga, the UK, the USA are coming on board, and we're starting to see this movement grow. We are also thrilled to announce over the last week to have a title sponsor of the Speak Your Mind campaign joining us. You may have seen it in the news, HSBC. Thank you for joining us on this incredible campaign. Thank you to all the staff at HSBC who have opened up this conversation. It is brave and it is bold, especially, and we've got some mental health ambassadors here, Lil and Victor here tonight. They have 238,000 staff. Yes, to Lil and Victor, here who are reading their own voice. They have 238,000 staff in 66 markets around the world. And I'm so excited to see what we will be able to achieve together. Together, we really are stronger. We have so many partners and friends, the Quorum for Kids Foundation and Sophia Hall, I know you're watching tonight, Comic Relief, our partners from the Global Peer Support Network, CVM, Nexus, YMCA, Havas, so many that have come together. And lastly, my final thank you. There are just too many people to thank. There are people who have made tonight possible. Natasha Mueller, thank you for making this possible today. Support from the Secretary General's office, our incredible moderator James Chow, who did have to leave us, and to, once again, the entire cast of Dear Evan Hansen. We are starting to see progress now than ever before. Just today alone, world leaders have declared to provide physical and mental health care for all. This is a step towards parity. Today alone, the Nigeria team and New Zealand teams of Speak Your Mind have launched coalitions of partners coming to join together. And we have new voices joining. Many of you here in the room tonight, I hope you will all add your voice and mobilize for the 40-second voice petition. Thank you especially also to Zach Williams for joining us and adding your voice in such a powerful way. Today is a big step forward, and it's a historic moment for our mission of a world where everyone, everywhere has someone to turn to, that they will be found when their mental health needs support. But to borrow from another hit Broadway show, this is a movement, this isn't a moment. And this is a movement that is unstoppable. Mental health affects all of us in various ways, and we've got to all add our voice. When we unite and when we speak with one voice, our leaders won't just commit, but they will act. Thank you for all your support. And as a final inspiration to end our evening, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce here tonight a friend of ours. He has been backing the campaigners in Nigeria, Crede Bello. When we launched the campaign, he walked up to us and said, I have something I wanted to share with you. He's a musician, his music is amazing, but he's also a poet. So please, Crede, would you come and close us out tonight?
Can I speak my mind? Are you sure? If I speak my mind, will you pay attention? If I speak my mind, will you set me free from this mental detention? If I speak my mind, will you understand? Will you hold me by the hand and tell me you've been there? Will you be there? Will you be here for me? If I speak my mind, I hope you don't judge me. You know why? Because I judge myself every day already. I even judge myself for not being able to stop judging myself. Are you sure you want me to speak my mind? Because you might say that I imprison myself in my own mind, and you might be right. But the truth is, I can't do this on my own. Will you help me out if I speak out? If you don't mind, if I speak my mind, will you listen? Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us. Let's keep this forward. Please do your 40-second voice petition as you leave today. Mobilize your communities. Let's see how many people are ready to speak their mind.